Hello YouTube and welcome to JDRC Network. If I sound a little bit sick, it's probably because I am. The video topic today is the K5 Trailblazer from Vaterra. I love this for a few reasons. First of all, as you could probably see, it looks incredibly scale. Although I put a lot of upgrades on it, a lot of the stuff on here is stock. Like the knuckles and the shocks and stuff, they're factory upgrades. It just increases how strong they are, increases the reliability, and it also adds a little bit of weight, which is good, especially down low to make sure you don't roll over on like side hilling or if you're going up a steep cliff. But today's video is just to show you guys all around the car what I've done to it, what I think should be done to it, and any upgrades that I would definitely suggest you getting out of the box. And I also have a few questions for you guys if you're just watching this video because you like the car or something and you know a little bit more about it than I do. I'm going to ask you a couple questions and see if you guys can help me out on stuff. So as you can see, the K5 Blazer is an amazing looking truck with a built-in canopy on the shell. I've scratched up the windows a little bit, but that's because I had to ship it to Colorado. If you look on a video that I posted earlier, we were rolling our cars down the rocks. I didn't roll this one down the rocks because I want to keep this in good condition. Not like my Axial, which I trash almost. Anyways, I take better care of this one, except I had something rubbing up against the window and shipping, so it scratched it up. I'm assuming I can try and use something along the lines of like car wax to try to get it out, or polisher or something like that. But for now, it's just going to stay scratched. It's not even that bad. You don't notice it until you get up close to it. Let me show you around the car. On the front here, you can see that we have an aluminum bumper. It's not plastic. And what I like about this bumper is it's a lot stronger than the stock bumper. The stock bumper kind of flops around and it just doesn't seem very sturdy. Although this does add extra weight to the front, it does increase the strength of it a lot because it's made out of metal. The other reason why it increases strength is because it's a lot thicker. The old bumper used to come out to about here. Well, this bumper goes all the way out, which also allows for a winch. I love these winches. So it allows for one of these in there. It's a Warn winch that I got at RC 4-wheel drive. These winches are awesome because they're really scale looking, and I think they're stronger than any other winch that they sell that's 10th scale. Now you will have to take the fairlead off, but it bolts right on with the same screws to the front of the bumper, which I think looks kind of cool. And when I bought this bumper off of, the winch off of eBay, I got a very scale looking hook, which I also appreciate a lot. It gives a little bit more look to the car, mainly because the car is red and that's also red. So I also use the stock Vaterra toe loops, I think they're called, mainly because they're free. They come included with the kit. And yes, I got this one as a kit because I was going to be upgrading so many parts on it. I didn't want to have to take apart a pre-built car in order to do that. So I just got the kit instead, and it's actually been a lot easier trying to figure that stuff out. But the stock toe loops I like because they're plastic, they're cheap, they're easy to replace, they look scale. As you can see, that's a stainless steel screw, and the reason it's like that is because I got a whole stainless steel screw kit for this because I'm at some point going to be taking it through mud, and I know that most screws will rust if you don't take care of them, and I'm not the best at taking care of my cars, so I decided to spend, I think it was like $60 and get the full stainless steel screw kit. It also gives you something like a couple hundred extra screws just in case, which I really appreciated because I've lost a few. But besides that, I think that's it for the front bumper. Now we're just going to take a quick look at the body and what I've done to the body. So the body I painted similar to what was on the RTR kit. The only difference is I added this white stripe down here. I think it gives a little bit more of a retro look. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think it looks better that way. I also used all Tamiya paint, and the red paint here unlike normal paint, it actually has a little bit of shine to it. I don't know if that comes out well in video, but it, like there you see it's a little bit shiny, and that makes it look like real car paint, which I really appreciate, because a lot of RC cars, their paint is just a solid color and it doesn't pop like a normal car paint job would. I didn't make the cleanest lines around here, but I did as best I could with what I had. I was using standard fat, like 1-inch masking tape, so if I had thinner masking tape I would have been able to do that better, but I didn't, so again, I didn't. I like the stickers on here. I normally don't like putting stickers on my cars, but that makes it look a lot nicer. I wish it was like the front grille, a piece of plastic that you could glue on there or something, but the front grille, that's solid plastic. It's not Lexan like the rest of the car, but it does give it a nice look to it, especially since it's I guess you'd say indented or deep or whatever. I don't know how to say it, but it just gives it a higher quality look and overall feel to the car. So the lights on here, they actually give you the chrome buckets already and the lenses, which I again really appreciate because I like making my cars look nice, and this really adds to the look of the car. I have LEDs in here, which I'll show you probably at the end of the video, but I still need to put little blinkers in here, but for now I just have these lights and it still looks amazing. So that's it so far for the outside of the car, or at least the shell. Now I'll move on to the rear bumper. So the rear bumper is another thing on here that I upgraded from stock. It's again aluminum, which I again really like because of the rigidity of it. I don't like the way it mounts. I kind of like the way that the stock bumpers mount because it's easy and it just seems more solid. But the way this mounts is it uses little slide rails with screws in there to hold it in place. And I mean, it works, but it's not my preferred bumper mounting solution. But I think it's a solid bumper. I got this at RPP Hobby, which I got a lot of the parts at, and I think it just makes it look a lot nicer than the stock bumper, which seems a little chintzy, I might say. Not cheap, but it just doesn't have the feel that this one does, especially since I can hit something with it and it won't like bend at all, given that it's aluminum. As you can see on here, I have a little trailer hitch, and my uncle is a big fan of creating things himself on RC cars, which I really appreciate because it gives your car a personalized feel since you've done the work on it yourself instead of just going out and spending money on a part. I'll go out and spend money on a part mainly because I'm lazy, but this is something that he helped me make, and I really like it because it's simple, it's red, and it matches the rest of the car. It doesn't stand out too much, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, and it just gives a better look to the car, especially since he likes making stuff. He's built trailers and they actually fit onto this, which I think was pretty cool. That's just the ball joint from a G-Made shock. It's a little aluminum ball joint that hooks to the axle on one of their internal spring shocks. So, I mean, it was technically expensive, but I'm pretty sure you can just get those anywhere on eBay. And notice that it's a ball joint that has the extended part right here, but no extended part on the top, because that's just the way that the bottom joints work. And I really like that because it makes it look more like a trailer hitch. I wish the screw would sit a little more flush, but it's a screw. Who cares? There's a little bit of fuzz on there for some reason. But yeah, I think it looks fine. I don't mind the screw at the bottom there. It's no big deal. Another thing that I liked about this was the rear sticker that says Chevrolet on it. And I really like this because it just, again, gives it more of a vintage look than like it being just complete red there, or yeah, I guess it'd be red because it wraps around the side here. But I really like that. It gives it a quality look to it. It's a sticker, obviously. I didn't paint it. This is also a sticker, and it's not much, but it looks nice. So, yeah. Now the last thing we're going to look at on the outside of the car before we move on to the inside is the wheels. As you can see, these are aluminum beadlock wheels. They're actual genuine beadlocks. They're not the plastic ones that come stock with the car. These are made by Vanquish Products, and I've always liked Vanquish Products because they function as they should. Their tolerances are really tight, and not too tight to where it doesn't function, but tight enough that you know that they're good quality. And they just take a lot of pride in their work. I especially like these ones because they're not over the top, and the way that they made their wheels is that if you want to go like hardcore rock crawling with it, you're not going to scratch them up because they're recessed so much. I also like their wheels because they have their adjustable hubs for different offsets, and I use that a lot. That's actually how I got these to be the perfect offset. That way, when I push the wheel up into the car, it just barely clears that and keeps the car wide enough that it's able to crawl over some pretty steep rocks sideways without having to flip over. So now let's take a look at the stuff that's on the inside of the car. So, as I move the lights out of the way so I can get a better look, you can see that we have a Tekin motor in there. It is a 45 turn Tekin hand wound pro motor. We have a dynamite reaction battery. It's 4,000 milliamps, 2-cell at 50C, and they're the only batteries that I know of that can fit in it the way I like them to fit, which is pretty much perfect. It has a digital Savox waterproof servo. It has another waterproof servo, lower torque, but high enough torque to be able to shift the 2-speed transmission that I installed. This car does not come stock with the 2-speed. You actually have to buy the parts and install them yourself. And be careful about aluminum transmission cases. I bought one and it didn't work with the 2-speed. It works fine with the 1-speed, but not the 2-speed. I have a battery connector right there. That way I can hook that up to the body for the lights that I'll show you later. And then I'm actually using an old extension cable as the power cords from the motor to the ESC and the ESC to the battery. And I'm doing this because I actually didn't have any extra long wire that would be able to fit from the motor all the way back to the receiver case, which is normally just supposed to hold the receiver, but this one holds the receiver and the ESC because it's the receiver is just small enough to fit back there. Sadly, the winch control box does not fit on that, which I was hoping it would, but I'm willing to overlook that. It's no big deal. I think that's it for showing you guys the stuff on the inside. Let's go on to upgrade parts. So I bought these aluminum rock sliders. I got the Vaterra aluminum shocks because I've heard really good reviews about them, and they're the perfect size. I got those on all 4 corners. I got off of eBay, I don't know which company, makes these aluminum shock towers. As you can see, there's not an aluminum one on there because they sent me 2 right side ones, and that sucked, so I just said fuck it. And I already have another set, I'm just too lazy to put them on. I'll make a video about that later. Something that's on the front here is these knuckles and C-hubs. I got aluminum ones of those. because I always like to have strength in that area because I have snapped them before. And as you see, there's what looks like a brake caliper, and in fact that's just a wheel weight that's shaped like a brake caliper, which I thought was kind of neat because it gives it an extra bit of realism. And there's those interchangeable hubs that I mentioned before right there. Oh, right there. Everything in the differentials is the same. The links are all the same. I have an aluminum servo horn, and that's almost required on an RC. That's almost required on an RC car like this, just because with going over rocks and hitting stuff, you will eventually break it. From stock, from building this, I had to readjust some of the linkage lengths in there, just so it would work better, and I think it does. And one thing that a lot of companies don't let their cars come stock with are universal joints, like right there. And I really appreciate that because it gives you a lot of turning ability. Like you can see here, the wheels almost look sideways. Well, it's a little more noticeable in real life, but especially that one looks like it's sideways, even if it's even if the camera is completely perpendicular to the bumper, it looks like it's turning at a 90-degree angle. But it's not, it's just turning at a really sharp angle like that. Something I wish they could improve on is the linkage in the front where the panhard bar works and the steering link. The panhard bar is actually at a perfectly fine angle. But something that I wish they would change is the steering link position. I'm trying to lock down the camera. I'll move that out of the way so you guys can see a little better. If I move, there's lights in the way. If I move, you can see that they're pretty much parallel. But if I decide to lift this, you can see that they're not as parallel anymore. They're parallel, they're coming together at the top, but they're far apart from the bottom, and that creates a little bit of bump steer. Not too noticeable, but it is there. An easy way they could have fixed this was to have this bar run along the bottom like it does, without having this weird knuckle or connector piece in there. Yeah, you can see that. There's fuzz everywhere. Without having this weird little connector piece that goes to this linkage, they could have just kept a straight bar, and then they could have attached this link to the top of that, which would have made it a much more linear. You can't see that. It would have made it much more linear when it's trying to move like that, because when it's flat, you can see that they're both 90 degrees, or they're both completely flat across. But the second you try to lift it, or one wheel starts moving, they don't become parallel anymore, which some people may just overlook, and some people that could really bug. So I would just look out for that. Let's move on to the aluminum shock towers. So one of their designs that I loved was that their front aluminum towers, they're kind of flimsy because it's just a soft plastic. But the way they make up for that is they add in these support bars in between. That's not an aftermarket bar like you get for the axials. That actually comes stock in the kit, and I really like that. But I also really like a stiffer chassis, and since that is a thin plastic, you could bend it. So I went with aluminum, and it stiffens it right up. I like it, and it still works with the bar, so it adds extra rigidity to your chassis. Now on the backs, the plastic was a little bit better, but I got the aluminums just because I could. I wanted aluminum all the way around. Just, again, stiffens up the chassis a little bit. An upgrade that I bought but never installed was the aluminum piece that goes from the chassis to the battery. It's this little battery mount pivot point. I haven't figured out how to install that. If anybody could let me know, that'd be great. Just post in the comment section below. but I don't know how to install that, so I need help with that. So normally you would go for a smaller servo, but the problem is I couldn't find any high torque small waterproof servos, so I had to go with a full size one. I just got a little conversion kit thing that you're supposed to put your ESC up here, but I decided to put it in the box so I don't need that. What else? Oh, here's how the front bumper attaches. It uses a stock bumper mount, and it just screws in to that plate, which I thought was a great idea because it works, and don't fix anything that's not broken. And the winch just screws onto the bumper, but that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, the bumper's great. I haven't had any problems with it. And I think that is it for the front of it. I got pretty much everything in the center. And like I said before, there's a 2-speed transmission in there. And in the rear, here's again how the rear bumper is adjusted. And I don't think that there are any other things that I need to mention for the rear. But I will move on to the bottom because there's one last thing that I forgot to cover. And that is these. These are MIP drive shafts. I always get them on all my cars that I can because MIP makes really good stuff. And they're never going to break on you. And if they do, then I think they have a warranty on them. Like a really good warranty. So they're pretty much guaranteed not to fail. Excuse me. And I think that's it. So, oh, if you guys want to know which servo it is, it's there. And I think now it's time to show you guys, if I zoom out, the lights on this car. So here's what it looks like with the lights. I think the lights look really nice. As you can see, these right there aren't actually lit up. It's just bleed over from these. And it's like that on both sides. But in the dark, it actually projects a pretty nice light path. I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see what it's like on my makeshift green screen. And these batteries are pretty much dead, so it doesn't look like much. But when you're trailing, that's quite a bit of light. And especially since I'm going to be getting, well, you can see pretty much everything on the rocks. And you'll be able to see, or at least I will be able to see everything, especially because I'm going to be getting what my uncle, I don't know if anybody else calls it this, what my uncle calls a cyclops eye, which is just a little light that comes down from right about there and shines down on the rocks in front. So this is my car right now. I personally think it looks kind of badass. And if you don't agree, that's honestly not my problem. But I think it looks like a real car pretty much, just based on the fact that everything's scale on it, or at least close to. I'm fairly certain that those are fairly large tires, and normally a car wouldn't be having that thing in it, but for what it is, it looks pretty freaking scale. My thoughts on the car: the building experience was easy as hell. It's like a Lego manual, step by step, how to do stuff. It's everything about it's just really easy to put together. Nothing was out of the ordinary, except for some little minor stupid stuff that's just kind of given with building a kit. But besides that, everything on it was pretty much a piece of cake. I enjoyed building it 100%. And I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's looking for something similar to an Axial SCX-10 that can also look a little more scaled than they normally do, because to be honest, they don't look as scaled as you might think. I mean, that's not very scaled, that's just It's just a little over the top. I mean, those wheels are taller than the body. But beside that, it's a very scale looking car, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody who enjoys scale stuff. So those are my thoughts and your first look at my Vaterra Trailblazer. Is it a Trailblazer? Oh no, it's an Ascender. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, press that like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos similar to this, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.